Yeah, hi friends, it's Harpreet Singh from Western Singh Law Firm. Today I want to talk about property tax system in California. So how property taxes are assessed, what are the limits on it, what was the main purpose of having such assessment system, and also exclusions involved in it so you don't have to pay more property tax than it's fair. So let's see. I think let me take you to 1978, in which year Proposition 13 was passed, which provided a system of assessment of how to evaluate property taxes based on the market value and also some fairness about the main purpose, which was to prevent homeowners from moving frequently because of some real estate boom. Because as you know, real estate booms can come and go. And so, in order to prevent people, the main purpose was so that people don't have to pay higher taxes when their property values goes up, and they get a benefit of being a long-term resident at some place. So that was the main purpose. And in order to achieve that main purpose, Proposition 13 and also other proposition and laws which were passed later on has created a system which fixed the assessed value in correlation with the market value and also limited any annual increases over time, regardless of what would be the property values or the market value in the communities will be. So let's see what are the basic rules of this property tax system. Probably you have seen on your, I think, property tax statement, if you are a homeowner or even if you previously was a homeowner, even if you own a commercial property, you have seen those long property tax statements which mention, okay, you have two installment to make. So in that property tax statement, if you have looked, the top, I think, line, it mentioned ad valorem taxes 1%. So that's the main tax. That's the basic tax which is applied on the assessed value. 1% tax. That's the basic tax which is applied on assessed value. And how a tax assessor comes to the assessed value. Another basic rule is that when the ownership changes, the tax assessor puts the market value as the assessed value. If suppose you purchase a home for 350,000, so your assessed value will be most of the time 350,000. That's the one of the basic rule. So from that on, your property tax will increase, and in a moment I will talk about what are the limits on that. So annually it will increase based on that. So the limit about how much that property tax will increase over the time, it's 2% of your assessed value, or a CPI index, which is a consumer price index, which is basically to gauge and evaluate what's the inflation in the whole region or in the community. And the percentage increase, whichever is less, will be taken. And obviously, as you see, means over the time, as there is a real estate boom, so you will most probably you will see those 2% increases. But if in recession, sometime you see like very less increase, or even some negatives going on, which decrease your property value, and then there is a readjustment of that assessment increases, and then you have to work around those. And in the real estate booms, then you have to look what would be property values if suppose you are not changing ownership quite often. So the main thing is that if you change ownership, then there is a change in assessed value for the new owner. Means you will not pass around your assessed value to the new owner. So if you have seen people who are buying houses in this particular time compared to people who bought houses in 2009, 10, 11, you will see a great difference, because those people bought properties at very low value. Now their property tax is still, if suppose there is no I think major changes they have did, and I will just go in a moment about those changes which again reassess your value. then you would be seeing your property assessed values are like if you bought it for 190 or 200,000, so it's just being increased steadily with 1%, 2% at most, and you just see a big difference for a person who bought the house in 2020. So what are the next basic rules? So another basic rule is that your property assessed value will change, and it will increase, because if you have a new construction in your house, if suppose you're adding a room to your house, or if you're adding some other improvement or structure to your house which increase value, and obviously most of the time your house increases in value, and so at that moment the property tax assessor would like to reassess the value based on the current value of the house. And obviously you will see the increase, because if the market is rising, you will obviously 10 years ago the prices were less and now it's more, so you will see the increase in your property assessed value, and based on that you have to pay that basic 1% tax. And in addition to that, if you have any voter approved measures, bond payments, Belarus payments, all those kind of other stuff which you see like it's just lying down below that 1%, and you are just thinking about, okay, what's that? So all those are project of infrastructure which your community was engaged in. So obviously you need funding. So the local communities arrange funding in that way. So my topic is not to discuss about it, because there is a whole set of, I think, laws in terms of that, and I think I need a video to cover that. But other than that, so your property value will be assessed again if you have a new construction, which probably will increase the value, and also the property value is limited. The tax on property value is limited to 2%. Just remember those: change in ownership, 2% at max annual increase in property taxes. And also the third thing is that if there is new construction, then your property tax will probably increase. Let's look at exclusions. Means we just talked about change in ownership. So what are some of the exclusion in which your property taxes are not assessed even if there is change in ownership? What are those exclusions? So first exclusion is parent-child transfer, and also a grandparent to grandchild transfer. So in those transfers, the property tax value is not reassessed. That's one of the benefit, because it's just a transfer within the family, and again it's not transfer from your uncle to you as a gift. In that situation, your property value will probably increase if it's you are in the north of the real estate boom. So it will just get reassessed, and then you have to pay property taxes based on that. But if it's a child parent or a grandparent to a grandchild, then there is no increase. And I think in the existing system, there was no mention about specific residences or commercial properties. So even in commercial properties, you will just see those transfers have the exclusion. And I will talk about in the next video about Prop 19, which is a Proposition 19 proposal to change laws, which is on the ballot for this year. So how it is proposing a change to this exclusion and several other exclusions which would affect your property taxes. So the second exclusion is about improvements. So we talked about with new construction or improvements to your property, there is change in property taxes, obviously on the increasing side. But with some improvement, those exclusions come in place and your property taxes doesn't get reassessed. Those exclusions include if you are installing a solar energy system. Obviously, more and more people want to go solar. It's efficient, good for climate, a whole lot of benefits comes with that. So government also want to encourage that, okay, if you are doing that kind of improvement, we will not increase or reassess your property tax, and you will just keep on getting the benefit of old assessed values with increases every year. So the second improvement is fire suppression system. If you're installing some systems, sprinklers in your house, and you're just advancing it, so there would be no reassessment done. And the third improvement would be disability access. Obviously, you don't want to, reassess property values because you just want to help out people in need. And the next improvement, it's about if your structure is destroyed in some disaster, then again means it's not fair that because you didn't that you were not responsible for that improvement, but still it happened because of some natural disaster. So now you have to just restructure this house, and you should not be assessed. And I think that's fair. And the next, I think, transfers, which you have usually seen, is the property transfer between spouses, even in a dissolution, even in a divorce, because those are kind of seen, those are forced, or maybe it's because we have seen husband-wife relationship is very important in society. So government just want to give leeway, okay, if you are transferring between spouses, because ultimately unless you just transmute or you just mention to your spouse in writing, this is your separate property. So among like spouses, so there should be no increase in taxes or reassess in value. And you don't know, means when you reassess, maybe you bought it at a higher price and now there is a recession. So it means reassessment is good for you because now your property value would be lower than the property taxes and the assessed value you're paying property taxes on. So you never know, but usually it increases. So the next category of transfers, which are between the joint tenant. If joint tenants are doing a transfer, okay, we don't want like a joint tenant. If they are changing the way of ownership, they want to held the title under, like it's a tenants in common or joint ownership, or even in spouses like community property, it becomes later on. So those transfer doesn't get reassessed value, which probably may get up in an increased tax bill. So the next type of transfers are in trust and also business entities. So if you are transferring property to especially the living trust, because obviously trusts are made for people to pass on their wealth to their loved ones later on without any probate and court actions. So government want to, I think, give a leeway also in that. If you're transferring to your trust, we know that it's still yours until you are alive, or even if you want to change it later on, but it's still like it's passing on to your generations. So the next kind of the exclusions people get, it's the replacement residences. So people who are 55 or older, if they have a primary residence and if they are changing, they are selling it and buying it later on, they get the benefit of the old assessed value. And also people who are severely disabled, those people also get the replaced the value, assessed value on their previous home to a replaced residence. And there are several rules in that. It's need to be within the same county, the second property you're buying, and there is a limit on purchase, what would be the value of that and how much you would be getting. So I will not be covering that, but it's important, the replacement residence, I think, category of exclusion, how it's getting affected, or what new proposal through Proposition 19, which is on the ballot on November 3rd, so how it will be affecting this replacement and what additional benefit the government, or if voter approved that proposition, we would have a law which will provide more benefit in this category to people who are 55 and older in terms of their property tax assessments. Thanks for watching this video. In the next video, I will talk about Proposition 19 and what the change is, because it's first of all, it's really important to understand what's the existing system. Suppose Proposition 19 doesn't come to effect, then you have this existing system. And at least you have got a little bit knowledge after, I think, listening to me. And also I will talk about in the next video the changes, how it would affect if Proposition 19 gets into effect, it's approved by voters, and how it will affect the property tax values. Thanks again for watching this video, and see you in the next video. Thank you.